Angelina Jolie has spent years being sold as invincible. Not emotional, not fragile. A controlled figure engineered for dominance. Tomb Raider. Maleficent. The humanitarian who walks through war zones without hesitation. The message has always been clear. This is a woman who does not bend, who does not break. But that image no longer holds. In a recent interview that cuts straight through the branding, Jolie admitted something blunt and unpolished. She is not okay. More precisely, she stated she has not felt like herself for 10 years. Not a phase, not recovery time. 10 full years of internal collapse. That timeline leads directly to 2015 and 2016, the period when her marriage to Brad Pitt detonated. While the public obsessed over legal filings, custody hearings, and corporate disputes tied to their winery, the real damage was happening elsewhere. Jolie was not just navigating litigation. She was losing structural stability as a person. She acknowledged that survival required alteration. Even her appearance became tactical. Clothing was no longer expression. It was defense. Boots, heavy coats, rigid silhouettes. These were not fashion decisions. They were barriers, signals, warnings. She constructed an exterior designed to discourage approach. And despite the image of control, she admitted she did not feel strong. She felt compromised. This is not a story about celebrity drama. It is about prolonged exposure to conflict and what it extracts over time. Jolie's statements force a reframing. The question is no longer who won in court, but what was stripped away during the process. In the interview, she described an interaction with a therapist that exposed the depth of her condition. She was encouraged to wear something soft, something loose. The suggestion was dismissed immediately. She believed toughness had to be projected at all times. Pants and boots were not preference. They were strategy. Softness was viewed as risk. She admitted she was not capable of it. For nearly 7 years, Jolie operated in a constant defensive posture. Every public appearance reinforced the same position: closed, guarded, fortified. This aligned perfectly with the years she spent locked in legal confrontation with Brad Pitt. Custody battles, accusations, media pressure. In that environment, vulnerability is liability. You don't lower your guard. You harden. The problem is duration. Armor worn long enough stops being removable. Jolie now states plainly that she does not know who she is. She questions her own sense of identity and style because she is still attempting to define herself at 48. This is not reinvention. It is disorientation, the byproduct of years spent reacting instead of living. Her disappearance from major film projects follows the same logic. There was a time when Jolie dominated the industry financially and commercially. That momentum ended abruptly, not because offers disappeared, but because capacity did. She confirmed that 7 years ago she deliberately reduced her workload, accepting only projects that allowed minimal absence. 7 years ago places the decision squarely in 2016. Her reasoning was direct. There was damage to manage, and it was not isolated to her. When she said, "we," she was referring to her 6 children: Maddox, Pax, Zahara, Shiloh, Knox, and Vivian. The fallout required containment. She chose proximity over career expansion. While Brad Pitt continued producing films and collecting awards, Jolie withdrew. Voice roles. Short commitments. No extended separation from home. This context undermines the narrative that framed her as consumed by divorce. What she described was not fixation. It was prolonged crisis management. Sources close to the situation have reinforced this account, stating that the extended legal process trapped her in a stagnant cycle. The years between filing in 2016 and finalization in 2019 applied sustained pressure. This was not a clean break. It was attrition. The most revealing statement in the interview was also the least dramatic. Jolie admitted she feels down. No elaboration. No cushioning. She followed it by stating she has not felt like herself for a decade. That admission shifts the starting point earlier, possibly to 2014, the year of the marriage itself. The implication is unavoidable. The collapse did not begin with divorce. It preceded it. When Jolie says she lost herself, she is describing erosion. Years spent maintaining impossible roles simultaneously: ideal parent, global advocate, legal combatant. The accumulation hollowed out what existed underneath. The contrast with Pitt's trajectory is stark. He advanced. She absorbed. This raises a direct question. Did this conflict cost more than reputation or finances? Did it permanently alter her internal structure? Her latest venture, Atelier Jolie, is positioned as an exit strategy, not as fashion, but as controlled reconstruction. She described it as a space built on trust. That detail matters. After years of leaks, disputes, and adversarial processes, trust is no longer assumed. It is engineered. She stated this project represents forward motion, a calculated attempt to dismantle the defensive framework she's been operating within. The stated goal is softness, safety, but the underlying function is clear: regaining authorship over her environment. This is not reinvention for aesthetics. It is containment and control under a different label. Atelier Jolie is her attempt to exist outside the roles imposed over the last decade. Not an ex-wife, not a litigant, not a symbol, a producer of her own terms. Angelina Jolie is now 50 years old. The previous 10 years were defined by sustained conflict, marriage collapse, custody warfare, courtrooms, negotiation fatigue. What remains is not triumph. It is aftermath. Her admission is not vulnerability. It is exposure. The armor did its job, but it also caused damage. Whether it can be removed without consequence is still unknown. As Brad Pitt moves forward, Jolie remains dealing with residue, sorting what's left, determining what, if anything, is recoverable. This interview was not closure. It was disclosure, and it confirms one thing clearly. The decade she referenced was not lost quietly. It was consumed. What's your assessment of Angelina Jolie's admission? Was losing 10 years of herself the real cost of that relationship? And does this new venture represent control regained, or simply another layer of insulation? Leave your take below and subscribe for continued coverage of the Jolie Pitt saga beyond surface-level headlines.